Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the World Championship Series as we get into Season 2 here for Challenger. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, this is the first time that we're going to be covering Challenger. One of the most important days of every single player's career within the World Championship Series. A matter of going through and playing in the Premier League or being knocked out completely of the World Championship Series.
Yeah, it all boils down to one best of 5. So let's take a look at the 3 days that are going to be ensuing today on Wednesday and as well as Thursday here, as we have a lot of best of 5s on the way for today, and then we will have 5 on the next preceding 2 days.
Very important couple of days that we have here in the World Championship Series. As you said, a best of 5, 3 days worth. 14 matches we'll be covering over the next couple of days. We'll be starting with 4 today, going over to 5 and 5 on the 29th and 30th of April. This is a big moment. On the left-hand side, all Premier League players. On the right-hand side are all the challengers that qualified for Season 2 of the World Championship Series and are now here in Challenger to find where they'll be for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's, as you said before, very, very important stuff. A lot of good matches to come up on Wednesday and Thursday, but let's narrow things down and let's look at exactly what's going to be happening today. We have 4 series and some pretty good ones. A lot of very strong Premier players with a lot of strong qualifiers coming through.
Yeah, we've got 4 great matches today that are going to be starting off. We've got 2 Team Liquid versus Team Acer matchups today. Snoot takes on Bly and Tilo takes on Nurcho, 2 of the top teams within StarCraft 2 going head-to-head. And then we've got the most successful WCS European player in Welmu going up against Rhett, who's been there since day 1 in StarCraft 2. And then our last match, Game 4, is the 2 19-year-olds going head-to-head to see who can make their move fastest to the top of the European scene, because that's what their goals are for this year.
Yeah, quite the tie-up there in that Game 4, especially 2 really prospective young talents here in Europe wanting to push themselves forwards. But that wraps up what we're going to have for today. Let's once again narrow things down and take a look at our first match of the day. And it's a really good way to start things because we've got Snoot, a guy who has reigned supreme in Europe forever, going up against definitely a challenger here.
Yeah, there's no other way to look at it is to call Bly what he is today. He is the challenger to Snoot, who has been the most successful European overall, not just within WCS results as that is Welmu, but Snoot is the guy that we always look to do well within the system and to hopefully get to the top 16 to reach the global finals at the end of the year. But Bly stands in his way today, and Bly's confident. Bly's good in this matchup. He's ready to try to take down Snoot before Snoot can get the ball even rolling. Snoot has never not played in a Europe Premier League before. He's played in 6 out of 7 Premier Leagues that have existed in all of time. Is he not even going to qualify today?
I don't know. Personally, for me, I think that Bly is someone that could definitely upset here. In 2015, his Zerg versus Zerg win ratio is something ridiculous, like 76 wins and 23 losses. A lot of that comes from the online tournaments that he plays in a lot of, very, very regularly. So he's a hard worker, but not many of those opponents have been at the caliber of Snoot. So this is definitely one of his biggest tests in Zerg versus Zerg.
Yeah, Bly has played 4 out of 7 Premier Leagues, which is pretty good in itself.
Yeah.
He's got decent stats, as we saw there. He's been able to beat quite a few players in Challenger and in Premier League when he's got there, but he's never really done anything other than the round of 32. He's taken a game or 2, but never advanced to the round of 16. Has never been at the same level Snoot has, where he's got top 8s back-to-back and top 4s here. And if you think back just to Season 1 alone, Snoot had a pretty convincing performance. Got top 8 in Season 1 when we played live in France. Unfortunately, had to play against his teammate in the quarterfinals and lost that to finish top 8. But he was highly seeded coming into this. We had the Challenger selection not too long ago, just a week ago, and Snoot was the 4th player out of all to pick, and he got Bly here and chose Bly. And he wants this matchup. Another advantage when I looked at these matches is that Tilo and both Snoot can practice Zerg versus Zerg together.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's going to have an impact today.
Yeah, I would say so, especially since both of them seem very confident in the Zerg versus Zerg. Obviously, TLO coming up a little bit later on here. But also, make sure to join the discussion. Of course, hashtag WCS on Twitter. And make sure to follow us on all respective social networks. As Season 2, it's going to be very good. Season 1 was also fantastic. I mean, getting towards the end there and having the amazing final that we had, I don't think I'm going to be able to forget that for a long time.
Yeah, and I'm sure Season 2 and Season 3 are going to be even better as we continue the road to BlizzCon at the end of the year.
All right, so we are getting good to go. Our first map in this best of 5 is going to be on Ekko. Of course, don't forget, from Season 1 to Season 2 now, we have indeed refreshed the map pool with the one that is actually being played on ladder. So, of course, if you have been playing ladder, then you're fully familiar with how these maps play out. But it's going to be interesting in Zerg versus Zerg. As I say, it's a best of 5, so there's a lot of potential for wiggle room here. I think Bly could definitely make an upset.
Yeah, Bly is definitely going to be challenging Snoot's position here, because this is Snoot's game. This is it's almost a matter of life and death between these two players. In a single best of 5, so much preparation can go into a best of 5 where, as well as everyone looks at Snoot being the favored player here, good preparation can overcome how favored a player can be, because if Snoot hasn't been performing and practicing ready for this match, then he's not guaranteed to win it. And this is Bly's opportunity to make that upset happen. But you have to look at this as Snoot being the overwhelming favorite to take it.
All right, let's get into it then. Game number 1 as we load up onto Ekko. Spawning up to the top left-hand corner, it is our red Zerg. It is Liquid Snoot. And down to the bottom right-hand corner, it is our blue Zerg. It is Ace Bly.
The last time that Snoot didn't qualify for a Premier League was in 2013 in August. A long, long time ago since he didn't qualify for a Premier League. Today could be a new day where that happens again.
Could be, could be. As I say, it's do or die. Or you've said before, it's do or die. And it's interesting the way in which the transition from Season 1 to Season 2 has worked out, with the Premier players being able to pick their opponents going into Challengers. But they've had a little bit of time now to prepare for this, about a week or so's time. Let's see what Bly is going to bring to the table to try and rival Snoot here. Yeah,
Snoot's definitely chosen, when we talked about it in the Challenger selection, a safer opponent in Bly. Not so much Bly, but the race that he plays is Zerg.
Yeah.
With a couple of changes that have happened recently, the big one being the Swarm host change, playing against the Terran or Protoss could be a little bit dangerous for Snoot, considering that his entire gameplay in those matchups revolves around the Swarm host. So Zerg vs Zerg, don't need to worry about that, and he can just go to the fundamental basics that Zerg vs Zerg has always relied on.
Yep, he's not too much Swarm host play in this matchup. We've seen it in the past a little bit, of course, but for the most part, you're going to see a lot of roaches, you're going to see a lot of mid-game potential, and then the transition's over to a little bit higher tech.
Already, I like the way that these two builds are shaping up, because it kind of shows me Premier League player versus Challenger just in the build. As we've got Snoot looking to protect himself, has gone for a spawning pool opening first, a safer choice between the different types of builds he could use. Whereas the Challenger's like, you know what, I'm just going all out in this game because I'm going to try and beat you. And he went hatchery, gas, then spawning pool.
Yeah.
It's like a really, really efficient setup for Bly. Going to get that Zergling speed much faster than his opponent Snoot. Snoot's building 6 Zerglings as well. He hasn't seen... no, he did see the second Overlord. So what he's looking at with the 6 Lings is a potential Queen snipe. If Bly's plays too greedy, he could lose a Queen really early on, and that actually puts him quite far behind.
Yeah, and the thing is that technically his opening has been greedy to begin with. So if he thinks about it, trends could continue on after seeing a lot of this.
He's seen the 6 Zerglings, though, with his first Overlord on the other side of the map, and is going to try and get a bit of a gas scout, as well as Snoot is going to try and do the same. Who knows, he's playing against hatchery first.
Trying to loop on around towards that back and see what he can spot. Of course, that Queen could potentially try and deny. This Overlord's also trailing it, so giving just that extra bit of vision, making sure he's not going to lose it.
Bly not taking any risks, equals the counter Zerglings, builds 6 of his own here to deflect Snoot's early attack.
Yeah, should be okay. They were a little bit split off from one another, so Snoot might have tried to exploit that. And actually he gets the better engagement there for a second, and probably will be able to come out on top. Very close.
Very, very equal. And with the Queen out, this isn't going to do anything here for Snoot. So he's going to have to back off. Looking at the setup now, very similar when it comes to workers, but one big difference between the two of them was that very early gas that was seen out from Bly here. He has not decided to throw down the Baneling Nest yet. He does have more than enough gas to do so. He has 124, 28, 32 in the bank. What is he saving that gas for? Snoot still trying to deflect the scout, but it was picked up upon for Bly. He saw the amount of gas that Snoot has in. He's a little bit slower in that regard.
Ooh, very, very close to death there. Bly really, really dicing with death, and we'll be able to get away.
Snoot still playing the defender here. Spinecrawler and Baneling Nest coming in, whereas Bly continues to drone and will take an economic lead coming into the mid game because of these additional structures and defensive setup that Snoot's going for.
Yeah, nice little move here by Bly to be able to pick off this Overlord. Needs to be able to dance around a little bit further on. Bly trying to keep an eye on it with his
good
Zergling.
vision. Very good vision. Grants the vision for the Queen there.
Should be able to get a few more shots off. Is there anything coming to support? Don't think so.
No. Is there a secondary Queen for Bly? Is he on 3 Queens?
We have 3 Queens at the moment,
Yep,
yes.
so that's his third one out in the open. And there is the Bane Nest coming in. And at the moment, very similar on economy, but no aggression coming out from either sides. So we have the mid game being entered, the layer being started for Bly, with all gases being taken, which does look like he's going towards the layer and towards the spire for the back of that. Whereas we have an evolution chamber coming down from Snoot. Could be for carapace upgrade for a very heavy Zergling game, or could be for the attack upgrade for the roaches.
And at the same time, Bly does notice that that third is going down at this speed, and also he was able to grab himself a queen in the middle of the map, so that's a really good start here for Bly.
Yeah, he's up by a little bit of supply. Very similar in workers, but that queen snipe's nice.
Can't really send too many Lings over there just yet. Needs to have a few more pop out. The Banelings to defend these Lings are here. And he gets the drone as well. So that will slow down the Surge for a little bit. Of course, he's kind of equalizing things up, but because he started his layer earlier, that could be quite menacing.
So far, so good here for Bly. Started this series off well. He's deflected that third, and he's going to do it again. He's denied a third base for a second time, and Snoot is trying to get this up there.
I'm not sure where this queen is going. Trying to bring this into
That's
a
just
fight
a dead
something.
queen. That's a mistake.
It's a bit odd, and all the Banelings are going to zone him out anyway, so he couldn't even protect the queen, unfortunately.
All right, well, Snoot's building 22 Zerglings. Still no layer from Snoot or Roach Warren, I don't think. Does he have a Roach Warren down?
Snoot? Don't think so. Don't think so, no.
No, still no Roach Warren down. She's got this attack upgrade, but nothing else at this point. Whereas the Spire is on its way here for Bly.
Maybe trying to loop around and actually get on that hatchery again. But at the same time, you know, Snoot investing a lot of gas into this aggression. Spine is not yet done, and that could...
There are defensive Banelings, though, so it should be okay here. If Bly plays this well, with a Spine about to finish up, he should be fine.
Yeah, here come the Banelings, though, walking forwards, and how much will he get done? He actually forces a little bit of cancellation on that, but it has to be careful of those. Oh, actually, that was a really good trade there for Bly.
Yeah, very good defense there by Bly. And he has his Spire about to complete, and he's going to start to control this mid-game now. And he's still deflecting that third.
Yeah.
He stopped it for the third time now. This is very good for Bly. When you're playing against Mutalisk, you want to try and have the best economy and best production you can get across 3 bases. You don't really want to be playing 2 base versus 2 base when you're against Mutalisks. You're about to lose all control of the mid-game against these Mutalisks. You need that third up and running, otherwise it's going to be very difficult to establish it. How can you stop Mutalisk from denying it over if you don't have spores already up there?
Yeah.
Through Queens, having anti-air there, creep spreading up there, getting spores in position, he's not going to have that. Snoot is getting a little bit run over in this series so far.
Very, very difficult. You got the Mutalisk now. Of course, there is one Overlord on the map that could be killed off quite quickly there, and that is a very, very strong strength of Mutalisks in this matchup, but Zergling's going to flood across the map here for Snoot to try and do something.
Additional Queens are going to be added on for anti-air. For now, Bly should be able to defend pretty much anything he does here, so he should be able to get this third up. The Mutalisks are going to be fine to be able to help and make sure this third goes down. He's going to save the drone for a second as an extractor, and then cancel it and then build the hatchery. Well
done there, actually, to be able to save that. Doesn't slow him down too much whilst going for the third. That being said, you know, Snoot's third is on the way. The Queens have actually found themselves an Overlord as
Ideally here for Bly, get the third and get these Mutalisks to try and delay that third. If he can get another cancel on that third or a bunch of Lings over there to help, then if he gets a cancel on that third, Snoot is in a lot of trouble. But it should be fine to keep this alive now. Creep is almost there. He's got quite a few Queens in support. And still as non-Queens, by the way. He may need to either creep spread across the map or try and think about a Nidus Worm before this game gets out of hand, because these Queens obviously not that important later on once there's a high amount of Roaches and Mutalisks. Or Mutalisks, sorry.
With the amount of Queens that he's actually got out and now in production still, I think a Nidus Worm is very likely, and actually he's going to throw that down. So, I mean, it's very rare you will see like 8 or 9 Queens in defense of this, just trying to run around.
So as a Mutalisk player, you have to be looking for this, and also you need to have scouts around your base, because if you see this happening and you know this is the game plan, it's very easy. Stop the Nidus and it's okay. And now he's going to spot the Nidus, and he clicks on it. He knows he's playing against the Nidus now. He needs to be looking around his 3 bases to where the Nidus could potentially be landed. Inside his main base, around his 3rd, just outside his 3rd is the most likely.
Yeah.
And it's actually down south here at the 6 o'clock position. There's a red little Zergling where he's going to be wanting to plant that Nidus. And this is a lot of damage. 17 drones have been killed.
Yeah, he's got to be careful, though, because, again, this aggression can come very, very quickly off the back of this, and the Mutalisks will not be able to fight in direct engagement.
That's a great pickup.
He takes the 3rd base, but...
That's almost game here. All he's got to do is defend.
Oh, the Banelings! The Banelings are on the way, but he has an energy for a transfuse if he wants to actually go for it, but he kills it off instantly anyway.
And now there's roaches here. That's a perfect move there by Bly. Excellent move. And the challenger here is looking to take map number 1. Now the roaches have to come across the other side of the map. They are not going to be able to support the queens.
Brilliantly done. Really well orchestrated. If he'd have crashed those in on their own in a line, then maybe it wouldn't have died off and maybe the transfuser would have gone down. But GG, game number 1 goes to Bly. And what a way to start this off. That was really well played by him.
Hashtag Bly on fire. And now Snoot really has to be the fireman if he wants to turn this series around. It's a great start there from Bly. I love the denial on the 3rd over and over and over. You need that for production. You need it for economy to be able to keep up with the Mutalist player who's going to take map control because there is no mobile anti-air that you can have so early on. So he has to play defensive. But great game there by Bly. And I love the Banelings. I don't know if he knew the Nidus Swarm was about to come down there. I don't know if he quite had vision of it, but I think he would have because there was an Overlord around. But perfect. You know, he stopped the Nidus Swarm, and that's all he had to do.
Yeah, very, very well done there. The roaches as the extra little punch on forwards when those queens come out. Obviously, again, you know, if those Banelings do file in and you're able to land on some transfuses on that Nidus Swarm, it's a small window that you can actually do that because Banelings do quite a lot of damage, do Nidus Swarms, but still, blowing them all up at the same time, perfect response, and able to deny that. So next map is going to be Koda here. And with Bly with a 1-0 lead, as I said before, there is definitely the potential that he can cause an upset in this series.
For sure, yeah.
And knock a huge favourite out of the WCS in Season 2.
I mean, we saw it in the player sheets earlier. The head-to-head is 12 wins to 3 in favour of Snoot over the years. He's just got a much better head-to-head record against Bly. He matches up against him quite a lot over the last couple of years. And he's pretty much been able to beat him every single time they played. I think right now Snoot's on a 6-map winning streak. He's won the last 3 series 2-0 every time they've played. But Bly opens up here with the first map to himself, to the Ukrainian, who's looking to be able to topple Snoot. And Snoot, like TLO, who share this, unfortunately, dropped a lot of points in the World Championship Series, Premier League in 2014. Both were looking for a good run throughout the year in search of a global finals position, but they both lost points in Premier League. They both underperformed, I think it's safe to say. And if Snoot doesn't make Premier League here, like I said, the first time since August in 2013 he doesn't make a Premier League, this is a big loss.
Yeah, and you actually can't afford that in the new system. In 2015, as a non-Korean here, if you're not playing in the Korean leagues where they have basically 2 big tournaments running simultaneously for each other, if you want to keep your hopes open if you want to keep your hopes open for BlizzCon, then you've got to perform extremely well here in WCS alone. Gaining points against all the Koreans is extremely difficult in the system.
Yeah, I mean, just look at it. Season 1's over already, and Bunny and Showtime are the ones leading the charge because they're the ones that perform the best in Season 1. But it's all about accumulating the points through Seasons 1, 2, and 3, and hopefully Snoot can do so. But it's only map number 1 here, and it's, of course, a best of 5, so very easily able to turn this one around, but he's going to have to do it on this next map because coming back from a 2-0 against a dangerous player like Bly is very difficult to do.
Yeah, especially when he can bring out a lot of tricks himself. He almost built his career on trickery and little sneaky plays. But anyway, getting into this game, we do have, spawning up to the top left of Koda, it is Acer Bly, currently 1 game up in this best of 5. And then down to the bottom right, it's our red Zerg. It is Liquid Snoot.
Yeah, and you described Bly really well. He's a tricky player. He's been known for his tricks for a very long time. He has a lot of different builds and strategies that can really throw you off. So that type of dangerous player is easier to play in a best of 5. But now just think, we've already seen 1 game go in favor of Bly. If he gets another, to dodge the multiple bullets is going to be very difficult for Snoot to do. And already here from Bly, who's actually expecting Snoot here to hopefully go for a hatchery first, because that's how Bly opened in game number 1. Bly's game plan was, all right, I'll show hatchery first, a very greedy build in map number 1 here, and then I'm going to actually go for a pretty fast and aggressive build myself, number 2. So which way does Snoot go? does he start to, play the mind games? Does he say, okay, he did this? Or is Snoot going to be robotic, spawn and pull first every game, defensive opening every single game?
I think he knows that Bly is someone that can be quite tricky himself. I mean, if we know it, then Snoot's definitely going to know it as well. So I'm not too bothered at all by the fact that he is playing this a little more defensively against someone like Bly here.
And already, Snoot on this map has coverage of the ramps. So he's going to see Zerglings really early with his first Overlord. It is a little bit difficult to spot the second Overlord. But you've got coverage of the ramps. You've got a spawn and pull first, which means you can throw down a spine crawler instantly inside the main base. You can add on queens. You've got everything necessary to defend this type of attack. All the tools are available, and he's going to see it very early here with this Overlord, and then the reaction must take place.
Yeah, so spots these 6 Zerglings, so he knows exactly what is coming across. He knows the timing of the pool. He is a Zerg, of course. He understands these kinds of things. And now, going to have to get that queen out pretty quickly here to deal with this.
The one thing he doesn't know if this is gas or not. This could be just these Zerglings for a cancel on the hatchery into an expansion of Bly's own. But it is gas. It is a Balin nest, so it's full commitment here. 6 Zerglings and a queen.
Sees a few more lings on the way as well, because he obviously went to scout the natural first instead of the gas. Probably very, very close to each other in terms of how quickly you could spot it, but regardless, he sees the Zerglings now. They are nibbling away at his hatchery, but he's getting himself gas as well to try and rival this. I think he realizes.
Snoot knows his base cannot be kept on the natural. He's not even going to try to defend it, so he's going to sit back on his drone count, which is higher than Bly's, and as long as he doesn't take drone losses, he can get up Zergling speed, a Bailey nest of his own, and feel comfortable. Now he knows that Bailings are being morphed. He knows that gas has been invested into. He actually cancels that.
Ooh.
Builds additional spines, realizes defend is the ultimate goal here. Just defend.
Yeah, and he knows it's a huge investment, but this is a lot of Banelings that are morphing in. The target fire is going to have to be good. He needs to get up there before a second queen gets up, though, because, of course, they could try and block off the ramp. They are in, though, and he's trying to bring down as many of these Zerglings as possible. He knows the Spine Crawler's behind here, and they will lose one Baneling for free.
And another one, too.
And he couldn't get the queen, which is nice. And these 2 extra Banelings that are walking in, if he could get something on the drones, but he doesn't even get a good detonation there, they all stay alive.
Yeah, it's a very good hold there. Very, very good hold. Remember, it's queen versus no queen, so production and setup and defense is much easier for Snoot. Snoot looks like he's making this look good. But like I said, he had a good build order against what Bly was doing.
Yep. Very much so. And now Bly is kind of stuck in a rut. He's trying to get his own queen and started Zergling speed as well. But to transition from here against a strong economical advantage here from Snoot, 18 to 12, it's
Snoot
tough.
can spread creep and actually block the ramp in a second. And then have full coverage of the ramp and have spines behind it.
Yeah, and as long as you have good eyes on your opponent, even speed, him getting speed and maybe trying to bust up with a lot of Zerglings or something like that, as long as your queens are in good spots to actually deny that on the ramp, it's not too much of a big deal.
It's almost impossible for Snoot to lose this against future attacks. So the only really one way that Bly can play this is try to expand and take the natural, put a fake sense of security out there for Snoot, who thinks, okay, this is going to go into the mid game, and then attack when it's not expected. If he attacks from this one base setup, there's 3 spines, 3 queens. There is no way he's breaking it.
Yeah, a little bit of a shame there as well for Bly, who sends a queen down to the natural to see if there was an Overlord to try and clear up, but they're all in positions he couldn't actually see when he went down there. So Snoot is completely surrounded that location. He will have vision on anything that would happen, and we'll be able to spot that expansion nice and quickly.
Yeah, this is an easy setup here for Snoot. Spread creep, send us 3 spines down. Interested to see which way he'll go with his upgrades here, because it is aligned with 150 gas if he doesn't morph any Banelings, so he could go into Zerglings. But right now, Snoot has a very clear economy advantage with a higher drone count and a little bit of a slower expansion, but that doesn't matter when you've got a decent setup like this. Drone count's higher, queen count's lovely here to be able to creep, spread, and deny.
Yeah, the fact that he has 3 queens out against 9 Zerglings alone, there's not much they can do. And the Banelings for support as well. Just in case they try and dart over the ramp, he can actually just move those down and probably kill everything off if Bly gets very, very desperate here.
Yeah, this is Snoot's game to lose now, but it is possible to still lose up. If there's an attack that gets planned here by Bly and the correct defense isn't there, then it could easily end still.
And he's got to be still very careful. Bly does not want to go up there at all. He's trying to gather up Zerglings here to try and go for a push. And he's going to...
Oh, dear. It's a trap.
Oh, I was anticipating that for about 1.5 minutes, and there you go.
Good trap there by Snoot. And Let's have a look at this. Both of them are droning up. Still, Snoot here with a slight advantage when it comes to the economy, which he's been able to carry through. He's got that attack upgrade for his roaches and queens over his opponent who doesn't have any upgrades yet for his units. And Bly, how is it? I mean, it's up to Bly to plan an attack to be able to get back into this game.
I mean, to be fair to him, he did okay in the drone count. It's 30 against 30 now, but obviously Snoot's going to have another round come in very soon.
Yeah.
But he needs to be able to defend against these Zerglings, so these Banelings are quite important to him at this point.
Yeah. And
tries to spring the same trap as they go up the ramp, and gets a few of them for his trouble, so that was nice.
Snoot, faster layer, going to have faster roaches, faster roach speed. He's going to have a faster third. You can start to see all these advantages from the defense from the early attack playing through now for Snoot. And still just waiting on a decision from Bly from what he's really going to do. He thought about taking a third base as he moved the drone out. He then decided to turn around, add on extra gases, now to Roach Warren. So he knows that he knows he's behind, and I think he's just probably going to plan an attack from this. It's the only thing that makes sense, I think, at the moment, unless he starts a layer. But he'd be looking at, I don't know, a 10 Roach, Zergling speed, and Baneling support attack to try to win the game in the mid part of his, hoping that Snoot overcommits to drone production.
And very difficult to go up against someone who started their upgrades so early in this situation, considering. So at the moment, Snoot is just rocketing ahead, getting a +2 as well as his Gliria Constitution on those roaches, and even gets himself another Overlord at the front. So
deny the drone count, unit count, and here comes the attack. 12 roaches from Bly in a desperate effort to salvage this game. Snoot had the better build order. He stayed true to his defensive setup, and he defended against Bly, who was expecting a hatchery first, or hoping, should I say, for a hatchery first. But 3 spine crawlers, significant amount of roaches on the way now for Snoot. And then he also has that attack upgrade and queen advantage. But right now, Snoot is droning. Opponent's planning an attack right now. That is something, of course, that only we can see.
And this army is basically the Suicide Squad, because once Gliria Constitution finishes on roaches, there's no escaping. You just have to fight.
This attack is all or nothing. It is a win or it is over. There is no in between here.
He's coming along, and his burr is spine crawler's in just the right place for him to get a very, very strong engagement. And Bly knows that he just kind of has to go for it. He might try and turn around, but again, as I say, even if he did, roaches could continue to pursue down.
No, this is, he has to kill Snoot here. Otherwise, if he doesn't, Snoot walks across the map and kills him for him.
Yeah, true.
If Bly doesn't end the game, Snoot will.
Well, trying to rotate around to the left-hand side and put on some pressure at this third base. There's quite a few more Banelings morphing in. Maybe if they could get right in the middle of the roaches and then explode, that would be great. But I don't know if that's really going to work out too well at all. Even in this fight with +1 weapons upgrade advantage here for Snoot, he has +2 about to finish up as well. Oh. And those Banelings actually didn't do too bad in the lines there, but the Transfuses are going to be able to hold that on strong, so very difficult here.
And this is where Snoot says, dude, you don't have roach speed, you don't have an attack upgrade, you don't have anything. It's you either kill me or you be killed. And Snoot is coming to tie this series up. He just wipes that army clean, as expected. And he's building up an army to march to the other side of the map. And as mentioned just a little bit ago, if Bly didn't leave the game, Snoot was going to force him to, and Snoot will attack and end this very shortly. This is game, set, and match, and go on to game number 3.
31 roaches against 5 at the moment, with Bly trying to scramble together some defense that we could see, even just some spine crawlers at the top. Trying to, even if he defends this location, he loses his third base and will fall behind vastly in economy.
I don't think Snoot's going to give a damn about those spine crawlers or anything here. He's going for the win, looking to tie this one up as Bly took map number 1. But the Premier League player from Season 1 is going to return the blow back over to Ukrainian. And we are going to have this tied up 1 apiece.
Yeah, easy stuff there for Snoot to hold on. But I say easy stuff. He made it look easy in the defense, but it can be far from easy sometimes when you're going up against that kind of aggression from Bly.
One micro mistake, one misclick, and the game ends instantly in the early type of micro setups that you can have there. When a good player plays against a good player and you've got no mistakes versus no mistakes, Snoot's setup is always going to win, pretty much. Unless a mistake happens, Snoot's was set up to be able to hold that, which he did, and there we saw him carry the momentum through until he finally finished off by.
Yeah, good stuff there, tying it up 1-1. And again, that's the kind of thing that you expect from someone like Snoot here, who is the premier player, pretty much defending his position as these players that have qualified for Challenger look to try and rise through the ranks. Bly, of course, he's been in Premier many times, but still, now we get on to this 1-1 situation. He can still try and continue this on. There is the potential that he goes back to game number 1 strategy and tries to play something like that.
Yeah.
That was very powerful.
Bly has, I'm sure, a lot more tricks left in this series yet, and he's not finished.
Yeah, I think so as well. We're going to be going to Exhibition Lost for game number 3 here, as Snoot and Bly get ready to go. And you can't fault the way Snoot played in that game. You can't fault it. Establish yourself a lead and just push on for the victory. It's very, very difficult once that initial push doesn't work for Bly.
Yeah. But this will be an interesting one to see which way it swings now. Can Bly keep it up? Can he go back in the lead now, or is he going to lose 2 games in a row and actually have to play from behind for the rest of the series? Because that will affect the way that Bly plays, especially knowing his style. Yeah,
this could be the most important game of the entire series, to be honest with you. When you are at that 1-1 situation, losing one here, not having that cushion, as you're explaining before, it's very, very difficult when you are going up against someone like Snoot, especially Snoot is ready to go, just now waiting for Bly to ready up as well before we get into Exhibition Lost, and it looks like our players are good to go. So I hope you're enjoying WCS so far here for Challenger. It's a pleasure to be bringing you these games, actually. Premier, in the previous season, we didn't have enough games. We only had 4 days of our groups, so nice to be bringing some extra action here from WCS.
And we're getting closer and closer to the Premier League, which is starting just around the corner now, and we only have this week left of Challenger games, as we already had a couple of regions completed. China has completed. We had the Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau that are completed, and we also had the Oceania and Southeast Asia challenges finished. We have 8 players in Premier League already, and the next one from this series will be the 9th ready to fight in Premier League for Season 2.
Yeah, all importantly, I got a lot of tweets about Haas qualifying for Premier League, so great for him. I'm looking forward to being able to commentate Haas, maybe. All right, let's get into things. Game number 3 now, as we have in this. It's going to be spawning up to the top right-hand corner, our red Zerg. It is Liquid Snoot tying up the series, and spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner, it's our blue Zerg. It is Acer Bly.
These 2 players only met once this year so far. It was on the 18th of January, quite a while back actually. But it was Snoot that won 2-0 in an online tournament. But the last time Bly beat Snoot was in a Go for StarCraft Cup, early March 2014. Over a year ago now, since Bly beat Snoot.
It's a very long time ago.
But he's taken a map away from him now, but it's not over yet. Tied 1 apiece here on Challenger Day number 1 of 3. We also have the North American Challenger games being played out over these next couple of days as well. This evening they start. So if you are just waking up in America, you have a lot of StarCraft action today of Challenger from Europe and Challenger from North America. And then more to come over the next couple of days.
Bly in the previous season of Challenger was denied entry by Uthermal, who obviously we'll be seeing playing later on. And again, he's a really strong upstart player, to be honest with you, in the European scene at the moment. He's really risen up the ranks quite quickly as Uthermal. So not huge surprises there. But Bly, there was a time back where I think he placed like second a DreamHack to his teammate Nurture that we'll be seeing soon. So he does have very, very strong qualities. He's never really had full chance to be able to show that he's like that top grade player just yet.
Yeah, 4 times in Premier League, 4 round of 32 finishes unfortunately for Bly over the last couple of years. But 2 build orders shaping up, spawn and pull first for each, so both setting up quite defensively, as we saw Snoot do the same thing now 3 times in a row, and I don't think he's going to really deviate too much. I think that Bly definitely could have gone back to how he played greedily in map number 1, because I don't think Snoot's going to change at all. I think Snoot's going to play spawn and pull first every single map. I don't think he cares about build order advantages and disadvantages, because he's the better player. He's the Premier League player. It's Snoot. He's challenging to hopefully go to the global finals at the end of the year. This is just Challenger. He always wins in Challenger. He's played in Premier League 6 out of 7 times. It's unheard of for him not to be in Premier League. So he's going to be playing very safe throughout this series to make sure that he can protect what is rightfully his.
And that's the most important thing you said. He is looking to go deep. This is supposed to be just like a bump in the road for Snoot. Not even that. He is supposed to sail on forwards. But at the moment, Bly is giving him a run for his money. And he's looking to go into a longer game in the series, as things have gone on so far. Game number 1 went to Bly via a bit more of a longer game. He was very greedy to go up to the layer when he was doing. But other than that, Snoot was not able to really deal with it.
Bly sacrificing just a little bit of mineral income here to have his queen drone and also much earlier gas. So he's looking to protect that he's taken the gas much earlier. And that is a good denial. Now the single Zergling can't go in by itself anymore. The second queen would do, the first queen there, sorry, would do damage. The second queen would finish it off before it could get the scout. So good denial there, while Bly actually goes in and scouts for himself and sees that his opponent is a little bit lacking behind when it comes to the gas income and what he could potentially do. So Bly's a little bit faster with Zergling speed, could be faster if he throws down this Baling Nest straight away, but it is Snoot who's going to throw that down first, who is in the dark and is going to play completely safe once again. But if Bly isn't going to rush down this Baling Nest and the speed that he had everything set up, what is this extra gas really for Bly? He's banking it up, it's over 150 now. Is it for a high Baling count that he can morph on the other side of the map? Needs to throw that Baling Nest down soon. Is he going to throw down a Roach Warren? It's a high amount of Zerglings that he's building.
Might be the Zergling pressuring to try and get a fast layer behind it. But if he messes up the attack or messes up the aggression, oh, he's actually going to go for a Roach Warren behind it.
Yeah, so it looks like he's going to try and do a bit of damage here, maybe get a Queen Snipe. As Zergling speed finishes, the Zerglings pop out, so well timed there by Bly. And he's going to go over the other side of the map and see what he can do. And then depending on what he does, he might be able to finish it off with a strong timing, depending on how much damage is dealt here.
Well, here come the Zerglings straight on in, and unfortunately for Snoot, he doesn't really have many units out just yet. The drones are going to have to combat this. Loses a few of them. Zerglings are about to pop, though, and they will be able to fend this off with the Queens, not even having to use the Banelings for the defense.
Yeah, 4 drones is all right, I suppose, but it's nothing huge. I mean, if he didn't get any queen kills, really, so it's very difficult for him to go for another attack because they're kind of equal pegged at the moment.
And this queen will end up dying off in the end.
Yeah, I don't know why Bly keeps sending his queen so far. He almost just sacrifices a queen to go overlord hunting in the middle of the map, but that's kind of easy to deal with.
Yeah, he got 1, I think, but aside from that, not much more. So,
all right, well, Bly's going to attempt this attack anyway. The Roach Warren is going to be spotted. The Baling Nest is going to be spotted. Everything's been spotted here, and even a Queen Snipe. Snoot just needs spine crawlers and additional defensive units to be able to stop this type of attack that he knows is about to happen.
I got a few that are drones there down towards the natural with some Banelings that he had available. But
is he going to get his Roach Warren out in time? The spine crawlers are starting. All you got to do is stop this, but the units are on the other side of the map already.
Cancelled himself a gas, realizes he doesn't actually need that at all whilst he's trying to go for this defense. And the Zerglings can't really do much at the front there for Bly.
Finished.
Gonna have to wait for these.
Snoot going to have enough to defend this. He's got transfuses available on these queens. He's added on additional ones. 8 roaches on the way. This attack, you know, it would have worked much better if Bly had been able to get more damage than just a couple of drones. So it's not as difficult for Snoot to be able to stop this.
A few Zerglings will get sent up. Actually, one of them gets a good trade-off there against the Banelings to start things, as the Roaches will push on forwards, but the Spines just finish. Banelings trying to move forwards towards drones alone here, but that's not going to work here.
That was bad there. It was like a gamble. It was like, do I go for the army? Do I go for the drones? And he didn't get the army and he didn't get the drones either. So Balin's just kind of wasted. He only got 4, and then Snoot immediately replenishes even more drones. Then he had lost 42 to 32. Bly's going to do it. I mean, he's building 6 more roaches, maybe just defensively as he's gone back to drones. But again, Snoot, +1 attack. At the end of the day, when you look at the conclusion, +1 attack's on its way. Layer started faster, better economy. He stops another assault from Bly and finds himself in another leading position.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Bly can actually do from here to actually catch up. I mean, everything is going Snoot's way at the moment, and even if he wanted to mount another attack, he's going to be behind on those upgrades. There's the high potential that he could be behind on Clear Constitution as well. And he's going to lose an Overlord at the front. He's not going to be supply blocked, but, you know, not having to replenish Overlords is something that's quite nice.
Yeah, and Bly's aggressive nature is starting to really hurt him, as well as it worked out in game number 1. He wasn't really super aggressive in game number 1. He just kind of dealt with the scenario presented and worked out well for him. But in game number 2 and game number 3, just overly aggressive and not being able to pull off the attack has resulted in him falling behind. And against, you know, a world-class player in Snoot, you give him an advantage like that, and he'll take the game by the horns. And as we can see, 20 supply in the lead.
Yeah.
A fantastic setup enter in the mid game. And now Bly needs to find an opportunity to come back. And it is difficult to do. One way to make this work can be a tech switch, which doesn't get punished. So you do it off minimal units and minimal economy. And you go for Infestors or Hydralisks. More Infestors, I suppose, is a lot more cost efficient. Or borrowed Roaches can work. Stuff like this. But going toe-to-toe, Roach Army versus Roach Army, very difficult unless Snoot makes a colossal mistake in overdroning and just doesn't have enough units to stop an attack.
At least for Bly, he's not as far behind as he was in game number 2. So, whereas in game number 2, there wasn't really much of an opportunity to come back at all, there is some glimmer of hope here for Bly if he continues to hold on.
Look at them. They have equal army, but there's a massive difference in economy for Snoot. So over time, Snoot's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger with his army because he's just simply mining more than Bly. So Bly has a choice. He either attacks soon, hoping that the army size isn't similar, or he has to drone up heavily himself to keep up with Snoot's income. He's doing a bit of both. He's adding on units, but also adding on drones.
Good positioning of the Roaches there to keep vision after that shrubbery was bypassed there by the Overlord. So, small things. He was also able to deny the any kind of little scouts that were coming in.
Yeah.
So he's keeping on top of things, is Snoot, on the other side of the map.
Yeah, he's just building Roaches and Roaches and Roaches. 6 worker difference between the two of them. Snoot maintains the better income and also maintains a larger army. 48 Roaches to 32 or something, I think it was. It's a huge 42 to 35, massive advantage. But tunneling, claws, and borrow is going to be the way that Bly can hopefully crawl this around. As mentioned, a comeback mechanic in this matchup. But he's got to play defensive if he's going to go for this. He's got to take the high ground always.
Yeah, he should be okay on this concave, unless Snoot's actually... He actually took a bit of free damage there, did Snoot. So this could go in Bly's favor in terms of the reinforcement point. That being said, +2 weapons is about to finish up as this fight is going on. Will it make the difference? The numbers technically on the map are in favor of Snoot, but I think the reinforcement point should be okay here for Bly.
Yeah, Bly had the better position, and he will deflect this. So that was good. That was a nice defense there from Bly. And now he can maybe get his plan into action. He needs to get that borrow upgrade. I don't think he's got it yet.
Yeah. I don't think he has either, actually. G, there we go.
Maybe he's been playing too much Legacy and thinks that everything can just move now.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, gonna have to move back, as he will lose a few free Roaches for himself there. But upgrade-wise, he hasn't started his... Well, okay, +2 weapons is way, way away from finishing. And now he sees the spikes on it. It's funny. It sees the spikes on it. It's like, oh, well, I guess you have tunneling claws, but without burrow, it's not much use.
Snoot's got a massive army now, as he just uses his advantage, and I think this is going to be where the game ends.
Yeah, very difficult to deal with. +2 weapons here against +1 for Snoot, as he just pushes up against it. It's even the drones came off the line here to try and hold on against it, but there's not much holding off against that. The reinforcements coming along for Bly, trying to save this situation, but it's just not enough. 40 Roaches on the map compared to 7.
Yeah, the Norwegian's going to go up 2 games to 1 in this series after losing the first one, and now Bly is no longer on fire. Bly starting to be in trouble a little bit in this series.
Covered in acid, unfortunately. There you go, 2-1 to Snoot so far here in this series, after just showing really strong resilience. That's basically how Snoot is winning the games that he's winning. He buffers, he holds on, his bulwark is strong, and then from that point on, he just pushes back and kills.
His armored, shielded Roaches are able to continue to hold for him, and it's working out well. Just defend against Bly and move on to the next part of the game where you will be in a lead, and that's been pretty much the moral so far of the series.
Yeah, seems so. So now Bly, does he go back to game number 1's plan here? Because that seemed to have a bit more success. Of course, you've got to be very on top of things. And
yeah, the problem with that is probably why he didn't do it in this game is because when you go back to that, you also have the opportunity out there where Snoot says, you're probably going to go back to that. If I go for this early spawning pool, then you're in trouble. And just by the 2 builds that we saw shaping up there where Bly played defensive, that was probably his thought process.
Probably.
It was like, well, you know, I lost game number 2. If I go back to what I did in game number 1, Snoot's going to be already thinking that I'm going to do that and is going to plan an attack to beat my hatchery first. So if I go spawning pool first, I'm safe. And then it won't work. And that's probably the thought process. And if we see that now again, it's the same risk.
Yeah.
Do I want to play risky and run that risk that Snoot goes for this attack now to finish me if I try to play greedy? Or do I just open up, spawn and pull first again, or be aggressive myself here?
Yeah.
It depends on the map, the size of it. What map is it? Iron Fortress?
Iron Fortress.
He may try to play greedy here. I mean, it's a big map. I think Snoot's going to open up spawn and pull first, but he has to run the risk.
Well,
I'm
that's
hoping
the
that
thing.
Snoot doesn't do it.
Like, Snoot, he hasn't really deviated too much, and he doesn't really need to. I mean, you mentioned it at the very, very beginning of the series. It's the mentality of the Premier player going up against the Challenger player. Premier player can play defensively and just hold down and hold strong, not really change up too much, and he's looked really good so far with it.
That's definitely something in any game. In any game that you play, when you are the inferior player going up against the superior one, you'll play mind games with yourself for no reason.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, we could, I mean, we don't know, but I'm pretty sure that one of the thing that could have happened here is Snoot said, you know, in all 5 games, I planned to open up spawn. I didn't even think about what he was going to do. I was going to open up spawn and pull first every single game. And then Bly's there like, is he going to do this? Is he going to do that? And then he starts to adjust his builds around what could help him, what couldn't help him. And at the end of the day, Snoop's like, I don't know why you were doing that because I wasn't thinking anything along these lines.
Yeah.
And that can happen a lot where Bly can, you know, hurt himself with his openings. So it's going to be very important to see what he chooses here. Does he want to take a risk? And he feels the way that he's changing his build orders up a little bit, he needs that early advantage somehow to give him a boost against such a player of Snoot.
Yeah, maybe. Well, we'll find out in just a little bit, as it looks like almost both players are ready to get into Iron Fortress. We haven't had much opportunity to cast games on these maps yet. This is, aside from our ESL Meisterschaft that we'd actually cast before, this is really our kind of first venture into casting the games on these maps.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've seen Iron Fortress for a long time now because it has been in the GSL and has been played quite a bit there. Big map and quite different from maps of old. Obviously, a 2-base is pretty easy to claim. In ZvZ, it's not as big an issue, of course, because all of your units are pretty fast and getting a 3rd base isn't as difficult compared to other matchups. But still, you know, something to think about.
I would say that, I mean, 2 base is easy to take. 3rd base can be more difficult if you're playing against a Mutalisk player.
True.
You've got to get that creep spread over there.
True.
To be able to assist in anti-air defense. That can be a problem. But apart from that, it's a 4-player map, spawn in any location. You know, top left, bottom left, doesn't matter. And they can have an impact on the series too.
All right, so let's get into it as we have our 4th game in this best of 5. The first best of 5 of the day, of course, don't forget, plenty more StarCraft to come. As we have spawning up to the top right-hand corner, it is our blue Zerg. It is Asa Bly. And down to the bottom right, we have our red Zerg. It is Liquid Snoot. Both of these players not sending their overlords in the correct directions to start things off, so it gets even more annoying to try and figure out what your opponent's up to.
Yeah, the second overlords will go straight, and it won't go in the middle of the map and see any Zerglings if Zerglings were being produced. But if Bly's going to be on fire today, he's got to go find a couple of lighters, and he has to do it soon, because time is running out.
Yeah, this is going to be difficult. Snoot has seemingly found his comfort zone at the moment, found his stride, and for now, let's see how he's going to play this out. I expect him to try and go back to something similar to the style of Game 1, because it's a pretty good map for it.
It's a big map. It's very difficult to pull off aggression on a big map that has 4 spawning locations, or 3 that you aren't in, because you don't know where to send your Zerglings very early.
Yep.
And your overlords aren't going to scout very fast because of the size of the map. So it is a good map to go for Hatchery first on and run that risk. But both players spawn and pull first again. So Bly's kind of cutting out the different types of build orders, advantages and disadvantages he could go for, and just saying, all right, spawn and pull first is fine. So we are going to enter the mid part, which will be very similar to the previous game. But remember, to the previous game is Bly got faster gas, faster Zergling speed, made an attack that killed 4 drones, and then was content because he decided to go for the follow-up attack, which wasn't good enough to win the game. Snoot rode an advantage again. So, you know, if you go to the source of the problem, it was the attack that didn't do enough damage and the follow-up attack that he didn't have to do to try to kill off Snoot. So if he doesn't make those types of attacks, how could the game really shape up for Bly?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to really try and challenge Snoot here. Snoot, likewise, on the other side, I mean, what does he... he doesn't really have to do a whole lot. He can just play how he wants to and be completely content with it.
Interestingly enough, Snoot got the Overlord at the right time, whereas Bly is delaying his Overlord to squeeze out 6 Zerglings, even did an Extractor trick to make sure he could afford everything here, and is going to try and do a little bit of damage with these 6 Zerglings. Luckily for him, the advantage what I just mentioned is he can go through the middle of the map, and because of the Overlords, there's nothing in the middle.
Yeah.
So Snoot has no idea if this is 2 Lings, 4 Lings, 6 Lings, or sometimes players don't build any Lings. He will spot it here with 2. But will he have enough time to build additional Zerglings? Oh, you shouldn't have attacked that. You just got to keep going. Yeah, it's a bit of a mistake. A split second, millisecond there for Snoot to react onto.
And Spinecrawler already going down in the
look at
line.
Snoot's vision, right? He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know if there's 1 base, 2 base, 3 base, 7 base.
Gotta be scared. Gotta be scared. Well, these Zerglings are going to be moving in, and not sure how much they're going to be able to get done. They actually grabbed themselves 1 drone already, which is a good start here for these Zerglings alone. But dealing with a Queen, the Zergling's about to pop out, as well as a Spine alone.
Yeah, good cancel on the Spine. Does not need that. It's the exact same opener, just with 2 additional or 4 additional Zerglings. That was it. So I did like that there from Bly.
Trying to save that drone, and will do. The Queen's also moving down to block the ramp if he tries to actually jump on up there. Very, very difficult to do anything else here for Bly.
Yeah, good pressure from Bly. I mean, it was only a sacrifice of a little bit of economy at the start, but he killed off a drone. Put a bit of pressure on, messed up with the injects a little bit because Queen should have been down injecting straight away. The Queen's the energy is high. That was a decent attack there.
And he'll keep these Lings around for now, just as perimeter guard, basically, to spot anything that would move out.
2 Queens at the front here are not going to deny the 2 Lings from getting inside, and he's going to see that Baneling nest, which is hidden away at the back. Because the setup from Snoot looked like there could have been multiple Queens, 3 Queens, with 2 at the front there, but he actually still was looking at being aggressive potentially with this Baneling nest, so good scout there, and Bly is his own on the way.
Very rare you would actually throw the Baneling Nest down in the main base and then just try and use that for defensive purposes. Usually you see it a lot at the front here for the defensive purposes. It does block off quite a bit.
Well, we are going to see 10 Zerglings being made here by Snoot, but I think he's content with the amount of income he has, so he's not building more drones, and he can feel out his opponent a little bit more with the 10 additional Zerglings.
And the Evolution Chamber is coming in very quickly here again for Snoot, so this could give him that upgrade lead that we keep seeing in these games, despite the game being pretty even thus far. Of course, Bly is going to need to catch up in that regard. Yeah,
Bly is now taking all his gases as he has the lair on the way, and he seems to be aiming towards that Spire once again. And a defensive setup from Snoot, super defensive, all those Banelings morphed in at home. Economy in favor of Bly as well because of the commitment to these Zerglings and Banelings quite early. Whereas on the other side, there is nothing, apart from a Spinecrawler.
Yeah, pretty difficult. That is a lot of gas, you're right. Quite a bit of gas indeed. I mean, this +1 coming in here for Snoot is basically those Banelings.
Yeah, so he spent 200 gas there with that +1 tap. But that's the Spire coming in. And with the Spinecrawler and Queens, this is easy enough to defend from Bly. It's not a lot of units from Snoot. Nice wall as well, so...
Yeah.
Good defense. Nice and easy.
Even the Baneling morphed in bought him a few seconds there, or a brief second or so, to make sure that this wall is going to be sturdy.
So we have the Roach Horn and Evo coming in really fast, by the way, off the back of the Mutalisks for Bly. So you may just build a very minimal amount and then switch immediately over to Roaches quite fast. Could go for an attack while Snoot is over-preparing for Mutalisks. As Snoot's creep spread, he's identified a weakness on this map. As you can see, he's a smart player. Knows it is hard against Mutalisks if he was to play that, where it's creep spread over there. To get his units moving in between the bases defensively. Yeah,
of course he doesn't quite know about that Spine just yet, but how much has he really seen back here?
Yeah, it's a player at 9 minutes still on 2 bases. This has to be Spire.
Yeah, because he sees the lack of a third, or one would suspect that he's poked over there and seen the lack of a third. And even the Zerglings actually find the drone in transit and will not be able to kill it off.
Yeah. Does Snoot try to doing a little bit? He built 10 Roaches there, which could try to cancel that third. But the Mutalisks are already on the way out, so I don't think they're going to get that much done.
And they could buy some time to set up the defense, so the ample defense. There's another Queen in production for Snoot, so maybe you can just get a few more out here, and then he can technically go for the Nidus Worm again. It is a really good choice against Mutalisks.
Yep. And it needs to be, I mean, it's a great choice if you can pull it off, but it gets weaker and weaker the longer game goes because Queens just aren't that good once the game switches to Roaches.
And I think he's not going to commit as much here to Mutalisks than he was before. Although that being said, yeah, he's getting a few more. He had some Roaches on the way.
I'm surprised he didn't get an attack upgrade from that Evo. Probably should have done that already to start the ball rolling a little bit on that, because he will want to switch into Roaches.
Ooh, starts +1 on his Mutalisk, so it looks like more of a commitment towards that. But
well, it's very risky to go full Mutalisks.
Because there's 3 Queens in production. There's just going to be the Nidus Worm again if he's not careful.
He shouldn't stay on Mutalisks. He really shouldn't.
You can't fight. If that Nidus Worm comes down again from Snoot and he just plays exactly the same as he did before, you cannot fight against this unless he is able to find the Nidus Worm somewhere, somehow.
Snoot's adding on quite a few Roaches. Does have that Roach speed finishing up soon, and can start to be quite active with them, running around a little bit more.
Trying to push these all away, and Bly is going to morph in a few Overseers, not only to try and get away from these Queens and keep themselves alive, but it's potentially that he could try and scout out for a Nidus Worm if it were to go down.
On this map, there's a run around the back here, of course, where Lings can come around the back, where sometimes you do forget, as a Zerg player, that this can happen.
Yeah. And does save that Overseer, or Overlord here, I should say, as the Mutalisks try and harass again.
Yeah, pretty good harassment. He's found a bit of a weak spot, and Zerglings here. And all this is slowing down Snoot, while we see, hopefully here, Blight overtaking a con overtake with the army size. But right now he's not doing either, as Snoot's still in favor of the economy, and also Roach count. So the Mutalisks do have their work cut out for them. And that 9 drone is going to be where he takes the lead in the economy. But can he catch up in army? Off the back of those 9 drones is the most important part. And right now, no. Because it doesn't look like these Mutalisks are buying himself enough time as the march is already commencing. Yeah,
he's not even going to go for the Nidus by the looks of things.
No, he's just going to march over. He's not going to bother trying to go for it. It didn't work in that game 1, so I'll just walk over.
And the Banelings didn't actually really do a whole lot over at this left-hand side either, so this is a big, big army that we're seeing from him. 104 army supply against 68, and a lot of that, again, is kind of dead weight because it is those Mutalisks, but...
Yeah, he needs more Roaches. Blight has to get it. He's got a lot of supply available. He just needs to add as many Roaches as he can, because right now he's low.
I will be able to react in time against those Banelings down there, but look at this army.
Yeah.
The Transfusers alone are really, really powerful here to complement these Roaches.
Yeah, very good little attack here from Snoot right before Bly's ready, because give Bly another minute or 2 and he's going to have a decent Roach count, but it's +2 against +1 as that completes in a second, but the sheer amount of numbers in favor of the Norwegian, who's looking to defend his Premier spot from Season 1.
This is a potentially strong push from him. Those Roaches did come around the back. And actually, they've just gone Blight. It looks like he might try and go for the counterattack with those Roaches.
I think he's just kind of clutching at straws now. He knows he's in trouble. Try to build up spines on 2 base, hoping that Snoot would go for the 3rd, but that is not going to be the case. And the Mutalisks didn't do anything in this game. They were built, they were invested into, but they didn't do anything. And now we're seeing that. Yeah,
if those Roaches actually went for a counter and somehow we could kill off all these Queens at the front, maybe that would be the way back in here for Bly, but I don't think that's going to come to fruition, as the Roaches technically are on top of these drones, but Snoot is going for the victory march here. He has so much army in the face of his opponent, almost 100 supply up. This is very, very difficult to stop, even just with a handful of these Mutalisks.
And now a single Norwegian in Challenger is going to move through to the Premier League. This is a triumphant victory for him over Bly as he extends his dominant winning record against him. And this is over, man. This is going to be Snoot back in Premier League for the 7th time. A very successful career. And, well, let's hope he can continue his run as he enters Premier League, as he's going to need as many points as he can get if he wants to play at the Global Finals at the end of the year. But Bly is a task presented and is a task completed.
Yeah, very, very good stuff here from Snoot, as Bly now just trying to salvage the situation, but it's all for naught. It's all gone, unfortunately, here for Bly, as Snoot will kill off these remaining Roaches. He has very few available to him, 8 against 55, and plenty of Queens to boot.
Yeah, this is Bly just realizing it's over. Unfortunately, he's put in a lot of work. He knew he had to practice hard for this match to ever come close to be able to beating, but it is not going to happen. Gratz is called. Snoot is the first player from the Europe Challenger to go through, and our 9th player overall to make it to the Premier League for Season 2.
Yeah, very well done there by Snoot. Puts his stamp of approval here on Challenger and moves on through. So congratulations to him, as now he can continue on that campaign and try and accrue even more WCS points to try and qualify for BlizzCon.
So I think we should, over the next 3 days here, keep a tally of Premier versus Challengers, and that's 1-0 to the Premier League players.
Yeah, that's true.
And we'll see if our next one can do it in our next match. But I think it's going to be quite heavily favoured towards the Premier League players.
Yeah.
They are the better players, so...
There's some good qualifiers. There are some very good qualifiers and potential for upsets. That was one of them, I felt, but in the end, Bly obviously, going up against Snoot, very, very difficult stuff.
Yep.
So that means now we are done with our first series, our first best of 5 of the day. We're going to go to a short break, and when we're back, we're going to have more WCS Challenger action for you here at the World Championship Series.